Hey everybody, Peter Mahar here, and I'm doing a video response to Amy Hayes' inquiry for me to talk about lenses more. So I thought I would do a video in response instead of writing because I'm not a very good writer. I'm not even very good with videos, but I'm hoping that I can get more information out this way. So the biggest thing I want to talk about is how to choose a lens. There's lots of lenses to choose from, and they all have pluses and minuses, and it kind of depends on what you shoot and why and how and where and what you're trying to accomplish. Most people I know love pictures when your subject is in focus and everything else is incredibly blurry, or you get that bokeh with those Christmas lights that are those big blurred out circles in the background of light. People are a sucker for those pictures. I love them too. They are really awesome, and I love getting those. And in order to get those types of shots, you need to have what's called a big aperture, which happens to be a smaller number, like 1.4 is considered a big aperture, to get those kind of shots. Now when you get lenses that have apertures of 1.4, you get in what's called the prime lenses, and those are a lot more expensive, anywhere from the $1,000 to $2,000 range on average. Not many people have that. So the 50mm lens 1.4 has always been kind of a go-to lens because you can get that for about $400, and it's a great portrait lens. It's great speed for focusing. It's just an all-around kind of average good lens. It's nothing too special, and it's not too bad either. But it can shoot at 1.4, so you get a lot of light in. Now the other problem with shooting at 1.4 is because it's such a shallow depth of field, most of your subjects won't actually be crisp. And so there's kind of a safe zone. If you were to shoot at aperture 8.0, you're almost guaranteed to get the sharpest pictures with any lens. You could have a mediocre entry-level lens and shoot at 8.0 and get pretty good images. The problem is you'll have no depth of field. You'll have to shoot with a ton of light because it's a very small aperture and not a lot of light is coming in, which restricts what you can shoot. So again, there's pluses and minuses. So I was looking at reviews, and in particular this lens, the Bell Howell 85 1.4, and it's a $300 lens, but people have been saying it's very sharp and it's comparable to the Nikkor 85 1.4. So needless to say, I was a little bit interested to see what the hype was, see if it really is that good, if it's worth my money, or whatever it might be. And for $300, I thought it'd be worth a shot. I'm happy with my investment. There's no regrets. There are limitations to this lens because it's aftermarket, and it's not aftermarket's not the right word, but because it's not a name brand, it's not billed consistently across all lenses. So there's been complaints where somebody will get a lens and a week to 2 weeks later, some of the discs and moving rings will actually break and the whole lens becomes useless. Some of the pluses are when it's shot wide open at 1.4, it actually is quite sharp, which is kind of surprising for a lens that's this cheap. The other plus is there's not really any distortion with 85mm, so when you add the 85mm perspective, it makes for great portraits. One of the biggest negatives is it's a manual focus, which means you're having to look through the viewfinder and focus. And when you're shooting at 1.4, you've got to have really, really good eyes and be shooting a lot to make sure you're getting what you want in focus, actually in focus. So if you got newborns or sports photography, anything that's moving constantly, I wouldn't get this lens for that. This is more of a walk-around lens, fun for maybe elderly people or people that don't move as much. So 85 is not out of the question though. You can still get other 85mm lenses that are manual focus that do work and are fast. But for this particular lens, for $300, it's a pretty good find, I think. And I'm excited to be shooting with it more. I've kind of been just fooling around with it the last few days. Taking pictures for fun. I would never use it probably for a wedding in either the reception or ceremony shots. Unless I'm doing controlled environment shooting, I wouldn't be using it or even trust it for that matter. I rent most of my lenses. I rent the 35 Nikkor 1.4, the 24-70 2.8, and the 85-1.4 Nikkor. I rent all of those because I don't have the money to buy really expensive lenses, and that's okay. But they do a great job for speed, versatility, and getting lots of light into your lens when you don't have other options. So, how to wrap up. I highly suggest investing in your glass. Cameras, when you buy them, they get outdated. You could have a way crappier camera, I could have a way nicer camera, and if you have the nicer lens, chances are your pictures are going to look nicer. It's just the way it is. Because with the lens, you can let in more light, so you can actually have less of an ISO, which is your light speed, and you can also have a faster shutter speed, which can freeze the frame. Not only that, you can also get cleaner. Lenses will help with color. That's actually one of the negatives with this lens. The color is not so great. It's usually kind of washed out and not as vibrant as most of the other Nikkor lenses. So that's definitely a bad go. You can fix it a little bit in post-production, but I like to get most of my stuff good in the can because less work on Photoshop is happier life for me. So invest in your glass. Glass does not really get outdated. Most Nikkor lenses will last you your lifetime unless you are an incredibly heavy shooter like a wedding photographer or sports photographer where you're taking them in and out of your bag all the time, taking thousands upon thousands of pictures. I'm talking hundreds of thousands. Unless you shoot that much, you almost would never break the lens. And if you're shooting that much, you're making enough money to replace it. So I highly recommend spending your money on nice glass. So do your research. Make sure you're getting the glass that meets your needs. If you're shooting kids, get something that can focus fast, responds fast, and also is a low aperture, or has a big aperture, so you can take pictures at low light. I'm rambling. I don't want this to be a boring video. I hope it's informative. Please let me know what you liked, didn't like, so I can kind of, I don't know, cater to your needs and fix whatever it might be. I want to help as much as possible and give as much information as I can. So anything you'd like to know more or less, just let me know. Ciao and have a great afternoon.